stores. Humans have been living aboard the International Space Station for 20 years. What comes next? That's going to be an interesting puzzle over the next few years as well. Stephen Cates, Dr. Sky with us. And Stephen, the blue moon was just fantastic this weekend.
Oh, absolutely, George. It's one of the most amazing sights, and since it got all the publicity out there, I'm sure many Coast listeners with their iPhones or cameras of sorts, something to remember. But, George, we begin with astronomy and the not-so-election Eve asteroid of 2020, asteroid 2018 VP1, as if we didn't have enough headaches. This one's good news. It passed us by a safe distance, as it only had a 0.41% chance of hitting us. This small, 6-foot-sized asteroid was traveling at some 24,000 miles an hour and passed us by a safe distance like the distance of the moon, of some 260,000 miles. But, George, not as close as the all-time close asteroid. They seem to be coming closer all the time. 2020 QG, which passed us by only 1,830 miles back in August of this year, a record, was 10 feet in diameter. But the next predicted close approach, George, of a large asteroid that we know about is one that you've been talking about, and the listeners have been curious about, the 1,000-foot object known as Apophis.
Yeah.
So on April the 13th, write it down, folks, 2029, this object grazes us by some 23,000 miles. Very close.
Way too close, Stephen.
Super close. And, George, we move on to space. More on the water molecules on the moon story that we reported last week, with the public's attention on this beautiful Halloween blue hunter's moon that we saw on Saturday, and with the recent NASA SOFIA discovery of water molecules, not only on the dark south poles of the moon, but water molecules encased in what's now called glass beads on the sunlit side and the surface of the moon, and that is the sunlit area. Scientists now say that there may be tens of billions of these cold traps on the surface of the moon between 80 degrees south latitude to the south pole of the moon. It's good news for future explorers, and this all conducted, as we mentioned last week, on board NASA's SOFIA, the 747 flying observatory. But NASA, sadly, was slated to cancel the SOFIA project back in February of this year, but it still continues today. Great science. The cost of the SOFIA project is about $82 million a year, second only to the Hubble Space Telescope. Interesting. But we know Congress has restored SOFIA's budget. Now we have a real chance of harvesting water molecules, George, from mineral grains on the surface of the moon for manned exploration that may even start, no matter who's president, hopefully by as early as 2024. Wrapping it up with the live sky. Hey, folks, George, welcome to November 2020 skies, of course. That Halloween full blue moon. It now wanes, last quarter moon on November the 8th, with the moon and Venus close in the morning sky on the 13th. And then if you're a dark sky observer, the new moon on the 15th of November, just in time, George, for the 2020 Leonid meteor shower. I'll be talking about that greatly as we move into November, peaking on the morning of November 16th and 17th. For planets, quickly, Jupiter and Saturn, they're close in the south at sunset. Mars still super bright at sunset, but it ends its retrograde, George, on November the 15th, and then resumes its eastward motion in the zodiac. For more information on all this, particularly planets, go to theskylive.com. And, of course, emails. We love them. drskyshow@gmail.com. Always remember to keep your eyes to the skies, and I'm your proud navigator on the highway to the heavens. Thank you, George.
Stephen, I got a kick out of your Ghost to Ghost welcome to everybody, by the way.